We're the stars of our very own video game.
Oh, yeah, groovy.
Like what's going on?
Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase is a game released for the PS1 in 2001, the same year that the movie on which the game is based was released. Now, this video is a review of the game, so I'm not going to be talking about the movie, okay, because, you know, those are two separate things. They are two separate entities, despite the fact that the game is inspired by the movie and was almost released like a companion piece, per se. It stands on its own. So those are two separate things, so I'm not going to really be talking about the movie, alright?
Would you do it for a Scooby snack?
Alright, I'm going to do it then. The movie was also released in 2001, and it follows the gang as they go back to college to visit an old friend, I assume from high school, that they have told about their past adventures, the adventures they have lived in the cartoon shows. And the friend has developed a video game, based on those adventures. It's called Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, which is also the name of the movie and of the real-life video game that, came out as a companion to the movie. And the friend has also developed a laser device that is able to take objects from the real world and transport them into a virtual reality. It's kind of like not the Matrix. I can't remember anything that it's like that actually right now, but I'm sure there is something. Anywho, when they get there, they discover that the game cannot be played because there is a virus situation. A computer virus. It has contaminated and corrupted the game. The computer virus calls himself Phantom Virus for some reason, and the virus has been let out into the real world through the laser thing. That can be used, both ways. It can be used to take objects from the real world and store them online where they'll never grow old. But it can also be used to take things from the virtual reality and then put it in the real life world for some reason. I assume to retrieve the objects that you're storing online. But the laser has been used to transport the virus into the real world. And the virus has already started to wreak chaos wherever it goes by. It walks by some computers and just erases all of the data. Actually, I'm going to be honest with you, that Phantom Virus, that character, although it makes no sense now that I'm a grown-up looking back at it, back when I was a kid, it basically shaped all of my opinions on computer viruses. To this very day, I am terrified of catching a computer virus because of that movie. Computer viruses just terrify me a lot because of that movie, because of that virus, that computer virus called Phantom Virus. And the virus has made a telephone come to life to attack one of the students from the college. One of the friends of the friend of the gang. And the gang sets out to capture the computer virus, and they chase him a while, and then they capture him and send him back into the computer space. Except that the laser goes on again and sends them into the game, and then the game is started. And once they're in the game, they have to play through all of the stages in order to come out. And, anything that happens to them in the game happens to them for real, because they're, in the game, so it's the game's rules or whatever. And they need to capture the Phantom Virus within the game and also try to figure out who sent them into the game as well as created the Phantom Virus.
Sounds like a job for Mystery Inc.
Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase actually stands out as both a fantastic movie within the franchise and outside of the context of the franchise. It's a great movie, above average within the franchise. I'm biased because I love Scooby-Doo, and basically I think all of Scooby-Doo movies are great. But some are unquestionably better than others. Okay, some Scooby-Doo movies are unquestionably better than others. And Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, it's right up there on my top 5 as one of the best Scooby-Doo movies ever made. Well, I don't think I have a top 5 actually. I think it's more like a top 10. It's right up there on the top 10 as one of the best Scooby-Doo movies ever made. And when you take it out of the context of the franchise, it's still a great movie because it's simple and lighthearted but entertaining at the same time. It's not like those there's a lot of movies nowadays that you watch, and you feel drained when you're done. You know, it's like they're tiring. They're emotionally tiring. Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase is the exact opposite. You watch it and you come out of it like feeling revitalized. You know, feeling like, I don't know if revitalized is a word in English or Portuguese. I always get the two mixed up. It's a movie that you come out feeling energized. You know, you come out of it feeling great, you know, and entertained and well rested. It's a movie that allows you to rest, which is fantastic. So that was about the movie. Now let's move on to the game.
Oh, this must be a one-player game. How retro.
So, Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, the game. Despite the fact that the game was released in the same year as the movie and is directly inspired, basically based on the movie, there are some differences. There are like kind of huge when you start to think about it, okay? I'm gonna be referring to, there are basically two games that exist, alright? There's the game that we have in real life, the PS1 version. There's also a Game Boy Advance version, but I never played that one because I never had a Game Boy, so I'm not going to be reviewing that one. I'm going to be reviewing the PlayStation 1, PS1 game. So, I'm going to be referring to the PS1 game as Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, the game, and I'm going to be referring to the game we see within the movie as the original game, alright? So, new game, original game. The new game has 7 areas, each area containing 3 levels, 2 actual levels and 1 boss fight, while the original game contains 10 levels. That is both good and bad, because the original game had 10 different environments that you could play through, and the new game only has 7 of those. Alright, so they cut out 3, actually they cut out 4 of the original game's environments, because 2 of the areas in the new game are just based on the same environment on the previous game, right? On the original game. So the new game has less environments. However, because it has 3 stages per environment, it actually has 21 levels, which is a lot more levels than the original game had. So that's good. And the order of the levels are actually kind of altered, you know, like in the original game you had a moon, a level, which you don't have on the new game. You had a Roman Empire level, you know, as the second level. Then you have a prehistoric jungle. You have an ocean level. You also don't have that one on the new game. You had a backyard level where the game's like shrunk, you know, kind of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. But they don't have that on the new game either. Then you have a feudal Japan level, you know, like an ancient Japan level. And then you have a medieval Europe level, you know, like fairy tales and dragons and stuff. That's also not on the new game. Then you have an ancient Egyptian level and I already mentioned the ancient Egyptian, haven't I? No, okay, so it's the Japan, Egypt, and then Europe. And then you have an Arctic polar, you know, the like the North Pole or the South Pole, one of the 2 poles, a level based in one of the 2 poles. You actually have that on the game too. And you have a big city level, you know, that's actually the one that I split into 2 for the new game. On the new game you have the classic Japan, ancient Rome, Arctic Circle, prehistoric jungle, the big city, which is the first of 2, you know, split up level on back that they split up. Then you have Egypt. They put it, you know, in the middle of the 2 big cities for some reason. And then you have the amusement park. In the movie, in the original game, the game in the movie, the amusement park is actually a section of the big city level. Okay, and it's kind of played like one of those open world games that you can like explore in the movie, and that's not it on the game itself. While the original game, the one in the movie, you can just explore the world of the game. The game, you know, the new game, it has those invisible walls that keep you from going off track, and it has a straight path that you need to follow. There's no maze. The original game, the maps are presented almost like a maze, but in the new game, they are not. Another difference from the original game to the new game is that on the original game, the whole gang participates, you know, but on the new game, you can only play as either Shaggy or Scooby. Okay, on the PS1 version, you can only play as either Shaggy or Scooby. Actually, you play as both of them, varying, because one goes in one level, then the other goes on the other level, and then you sort of go on, it goes on and on, you know, so forth. And that was kind of disappointing because I really, really wanted to play like as the rest of the gang, you know? Like if I had to choose, I would have gone Velma, Fred, Daphne, Shaggy, and Scooby. In that order that I would have played it. Because, you know, I was kind of like obsessed with Velma. And Fred, I had like a major crush on Fred. It was, I think I've mentioned that before. Anywho, another difference from the game to like the movie game is that the movie game contains 5 monsters from the animated series that came before, you know? It has the Creeper, the Tar Monster, the Old Iron Face, the Jaguaro, who by all means should have been in Brazil, and the Gator Ghoul, alright? However, the game only has one villain from the cartoons. It's the Charlie the Robot, you know? I don't remember which episode he appears in, but it's Charlie the Robot from like an amusement park, sort of. And here's the thing, Charlie the Robot actually doesn't appear in the movie, if I'm not mistaken. I distinctly don't remember seeing him in the movie. So they had like 5 villains to pick from on the movie, and they picked the one that wasn't on the movie. And that actually creates a little bit of a problem, because according to the movie, as well as the storyline within the game, the Phantom Virus has
I've spread my evil virus all over this game. You'll never get past the monsters I've unleashed.
Exactly, he has infected the game. But the game places him as the boss in most of the boss fights. Well, not most, but a big number of the boss fights, you know. You have the Phantom Virus plus some mummies. You have the Phantom Virus alone. You have the Phantom Virus plus a bear. There's like 3 out of 7 areas, ou seja, meaning almost half, where the Phantom Virus is the main villain. Except that if you remove him, since he was not originally a part of the game, you just don't have a main villain for that area. You know, I mean, on the Arctic Circle, he appears with a polar bear, you know, mounting on a polar bear. And he's kind of guiding the polar bear. But okay, let's assume that if you take the virus, the bear becomes the villain for the action, the level. Alright. Then, on the 6th area, Egyptian area, it's the Phantom Virus, and he just throws mummies at you. The thing is, he's at a separated boss area, which, alright, he may have created, but the thing is, if you take him, there's no other character there. It's just the mummies, and the mummies already appear within the level. You know, they're like already an enemy that you fight within the 2 previous levels in that area. Meaning that that area doesn't have a boss if you remove the Phantom Virus. And the same goes for the amusement park level, okay? You just don't have a boss if you remove the Phantom Virus. And that's kind of a gaffe, I think, kind of like a slip, since the Phantom Virus is canonically, both in the movie and in the game, not a part of the game, right?
This is my game now.
The controls are great. They're like easy to understand. The game is for kids, so they gotta make them easy so kids can understand. And it's not just because the game is for kids that it's suddenly not good. It's actually really good. It has a compelling story, the controls are good, and the playability is really good. It's very easy to play, but it's also not too easy. It's not something that's gonna be like boring, you know. It's entertaining. It has a hook to it. It's interesting. It's something that it's interesting to play. It's fun to play, alright? Then, there's the characters themselves. Each has his own, like, strength, okay? So Shaggy is better at, like, you know, running, but Scooby is better at jumps, at least in my experience, you know. I have played the game both on emulator and on the PS1, the actual PS1. Thing remains equal. There's no decrease in quality, which is fantastic. The game also has some mechanics, the game mechanics, which are really good. You see, you have the attacks, which are pies. You throw pies at the enemy, so it's not like too violent, you know. A lot of games, even for kids, have violence. And I mean, some games you expect to have violence, like for an example, GTA, Grand Theft Auto. I have the Grand Theft Auto 2 for PlayStation 1, and it has violence. You see it from above, it's just a bunch of little dots, but it has a bunch of guns in it, right? But then there are games that you don't expect really to have guns, but they do, like Crash Bandicoot. I also love Crash Bandicoot. But specifically on Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped, Crash gains a bazooka for some reason. He shoots fruit, but it's still a bazooka. You know, but there's no guns on Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, the game. There are no weapons in it. You know, you use a pie, you throw pies. Those are your attacks, as both Shaggy and Scooby. You can collect the dog tag from Scooby's collar as the checkpoints, and there are a satisfactory number of checkpoints. There are a good number of checkpoints. It's not one of those super hard games that you only can save like at the end of the level, or every few levels, or like every few minutes throughout the level, but it's huge chunks and they're very difficult. No, Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase is a game from before you could just pause and save the game at any time you wanted. But it contains enough checkpoints. And the checkpoints, there's always a checkpoint before a very difficult part and after a very difficult part. So like, if you accidentally mess up on the very difficult part, you don't have to start from scratch and go walking all the way up there to get through the difficult part. And if you screw up after a difficult part, you don't have to go through it again. So it's really good. You can save the game like on the memory card for the PS1, because it's for PS1. And that's what Velma does most throughout the game. The game, on the storyline goes like this. The gang find out that their game has been infected by the Phantom virus. And then they set out to try to stop him. Fred and Daphne go away to look for a trap. Velma sticks around the safe area so you can come and talk to her to save the game. And Shaggy and Scooby go into the levels. Alright? And Fred, Velma, and Daphne all use Velma's little computer device to talk to Shaggy and Scooby and tell them, you know, if the Phantom virus is close to them or not. And here's the thing. I'm gonna spoil the ending because the game's from 2001, alright? And plus, if you've seen the movie, you already know how the game ends. And also, let's be real, it's a Scooby-Doo game, so like, it's not gonna end very dark and grim and like, oh no, everyone dies. No, we all know it has a happy ending, right? Because it's a Scooby-Doo game. The gang finally figures out Shaggy and Scooby fight. Actually, I think it's either Shaggy or Scooby who fights the Phantom virus. Actually, let me check. Scooby, Shaggy, Scooby, Shaggy, Scooby, Shaggy, Scooby. It's Scooby who fights the Phantom virus, if I'm not mistaken. And he fights him on the last boss fight. And the Phantom comes out of the level. And then Fred and Daphne use Velma's palm-top computer, you know, her ancient prototype smartphone, I guess. It's almost like a smartphone from, you know, all back in the day. I can't believe Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase predicted the smartphones back in 2001. But they used that handheld computer that she has to destroy the virus, because the handheld computer actually has a antivirus software. So they just basically throw Avast at the Phantom virus, and that works, which is fantastic.
I always knew that software would come in handy one day.
Overall, it's a great game, you know. Out of 5 stars, I would give it 5 stars. It's a fantastic game. It's one of my favorites from the years of PS1. It's one of the few that I still have because they are so good. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. And I really recommend you play the game because it's a really good game. And that's it. Please subscribe and leave a comment in the comment section down below. Like this video if you like the video and if you like Scooby-Doo. And okay, if you like Scooby-Doo, go to the comment section down below and tell me what is your favorite Scooby-Doo movie ever. I really want to know. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!